we're looking at least $5,000 for one bulletproof, comprehensive, scope of both dudes. If we were going to do the full gambit of shit. And again, even if you did the full gambit of shit, is there not ways to get around HGH isoform differential immunoassay? Is there not ways to get around carbon isotope ratio testing? Is there not ways to get around recombinant EPO detection? Is there not ways to get around? What's up guys, Derek, moreplaysmoredates.com. Today we are going to be reacting to Ryan Blue Bowen's unbeatable drug testing protocol. He says, so very excited about the impact this could have on the opportunities within the sport moving forward. And in this video, he essentially goes on to describe what he believes to be bulletproof testing that is going to make it impossible to cheat and deter every single arm wrestler who has this protocol in place, fully deter them from cheating entirely. So I watched the video already and kind of dropped a little comment down there and said, if somebody links me this organization's bulletproof testing, I'll make a video dissecting it. So had a decent amount of replies. Down at the bottom, I had somebody reach out and said it's VADA. And they have a very good track record, for catching PED users supposedly. And I actually talked to Devin Lorette as well, which is really cool. He described to me the same thing. It's VADA and kind of the process of them showing up unannounced, what they're taking exactly, what they're testing. So I'm gonna go through the video again and react to it point by point and kind of elaborate if this makes sense, how bulletproof can it really be, and given the budget, how elaborate can the testing really be too? So I'm putting them on 1.25 times speed because this is going to be a long video otherwise, and I'll just talk faster.
Ready to go. Hey YouTube, hope you guys are doing well. I just got off the phone with Rob Vigent, none other than Rob Vigent, the man himself. And I just wanted to expand on some thoughts. It was a great conversation with Rob. Really good. So much so that I am beginning even more, and I was already doing this a lot, but I'm beginning to believe even more in this match and why we're doing this match and the benefits of what will come from this match and how much this match could change the world of arm wrestling. What both Rob and I want this match to be, and I'm excited. It literally gives me a buzz, shivers down the arms as I'm saying it right now about what this could be. This could change everything in a really good way. And I'm talking about drug testing. I'm talking about drug protocol. I'm talking about bulletproof, unbeatable.
Like, these are some bold motherfucking adjectives to make. So, as a lot of you know, and can probably speculate by the look of some of the competitors, arm wrestling is not exactly a highly regulated sport in terms of PEDs right now.
Random drug protocol. And what I wanted to talk about is why that's so amazing for the sport. Why that and this match under these protocol can be such a game changer. This, no matter what way you look at it, when you look at this as a match, as an arm wrestler, I don't care whether you think I have a chance, I don't care whether you think I'm worthy, I don't care whether you think I'm deserving. Okay, this match has the ability to change things for a couple of reasons. One, because there's some really amazing business minds behind this match. Not just me and Rob. Neil Pickup is heavily involved, and there are many more people behind the scenes that are going to make this match one of the most viewed matches in the history of the sport. Maybe the most viewed. And all those details on how we're going to achieve that will come in time, I assure you. But there is very significant minds behind this match, as of now, and as of the recent times, very significant minds working towards this. So the money behind this match is there, okay? It's there, and it will be there. It will probably set the record for the most significant money match in history. And again, I don't care whether you think I deserve this match on an arm wrestling level. I don't care. I really don't. And it's not relevant to the point I'm making in this video. The point I'm making in this video surrounds the drug testing, surrounds what that can mean for the future of our sport. Now, there have been many forms of drug testing in our sport. WAF, IFA, they all each do their drug testing. They do. I don't know much about drug testing. Let me just say that.
So, to be clear, he mentions first off how it's going to be bulletproof. Second off, how he doesn't understand drug testing, he doesn't know shit about it. And now he's going to elaborate on why it's bulletproof again. So keep that in mind.
I don't understand. I haven't looked into it. I don't understand the science. I don't understand the protocols. But there's always been ways and means around it. Beatable. Okay. For this event, Rob and I just agreed on a great phone call. Seriously, it was a good phone call. I loved it. We both agreed in the value of investing a significant portion of the funds we raised. We're talking like 10 grand at least.
Okay, so the budget for testing, $10,000. So keep that in mind as we move forward. And he elaborates on the duration of time before the match, how much testing is supposed to occur between now and, the event. And then I'll get into some of the actual costs for bulletproof testing.
In an absolute bulletproof regime of testing. And by bulletproof, we mean over an extended period of time leading up to the match. Multiple randomized tests. We don't know what type of test, piss test, blood test, any type of test. Multiple on an hour's notice to move. So I could get a phone call from the organization we're going to deal with saying someone's going to turn up your place in an hour's time. Be prepared for a test. And they might take blood, they might take urine sample, whatever. The reason this is so amazing is the change it can make. Okay, the change this can make, first of all, it's an unbeatable situation in terms of testing. You will be caught on this. This company gives us assurances.
Really?
Nothing will be missed. So if anything there's no arguing with this process. It's thorough and it will catch anyone, and it will 100% deter anyone who isn't clean from even stepping into this arena. Now, when you have an unbeatable testing system like that.
So he keeps saying unbeatable, it's unbeatable, blah, 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 it's going to deter everyone. Dude, like it's not. Like, it simply put, the assays being used, the testing parameters being used are simply not advanced enough to catch some of the bioidentical hormones being used. That's just how it is, You can try and, detect, recombinant variants of the thing. You can try and detect exogenous, fill in the blank based on, the ratio of isoform kilodalton variants and blah, 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 and try and figure out, is this something that has been designed in a lab? Is this something that has been structurally, molecularly is different than what you would endogenously produce naturally based on natural steroidogenesis cascades and whatnot? Yeah, the testing can get that far, but above and beyond that, it's not like there isn't chemists out there that are looking the step further and designing things that match the exact sequence that you need in order to circumvent something that can only pick up plant-derived fucking test. Or, an HGH variant that matches the rHGH that you would traditionally see in somatropin that is prescribed to, HIV patients or something. This is the kind of shit that is simply the testing is not advanced enough to get to. Even if you, get past the first couple things and you get to the more, let's say you deploy every single test available, there's still ways once you get to the literal end stage of the most expensive, most elaborate testing, it is simply not advanced enough to catch all bioidentical hormone use. You would have to basically have very intelligent minds be able to interpret blood work variations and stuff. This is why the biological passport exists, by the way, in order to get around the fact that these assays are subpar in terms of detecting. I'm not saying they're subpar as in they suck. It's just when you're trying to figure out if something in your body that's supposed to be there is not supposed to be there when it's naturally produced, it's hard to fucking figure out if the guy is using an exogenous source and kind of, cheating, So that's why you look at biological variations over trends in time and whatnot. And I'll tell you right now, the likelihood that they have biological passport implemented into this is extremely low. So they're going to have one-off tests at snapshots in time for the duration of this thing. If they have $10,000 as their budget, that's what we're looking at probably. And even if it wasn't the case, there's still ways to circumvent it, unfortunately.
It changes the perspective of the competition.
And the biological passport is not bulletproof either, by the way. I'm just saying, that would be the reason that was brought into USADA, brought into these testing protocols is in order to detect with a higher accuracy bioidentical variations and aberrations in actual endogenous hormones going up and down that would normally go up and down in a very, very tightly regulated feedback system. And if you notice aberrations over periods of time with random drug testing, then yeah, you can kind of like ding, like, oh, this guy like clearly had an abnormal thing that is different than what his body would normally do. So now we look at subsequent testing in order to dig deeper and figure out exactly what caused that to begin with. Is there some sort of EPO implementation? Is there some sort of blood transfusion? Is there some sort of testosterone administration? Like, what is going on here? It's more of gives a clue to the detective to then dig deeper, but it's not like any of these things. It's very, very fucking difficult to pick up on, and it is simply not, especially when you're dealing with a small budget, it's not bulletproof, dude.
It really opens things up. Now, clearly, I'm never going to be a Denis Saplenkov or anything like that. There have been leagues, there have been many circumstances in our sport for a long time where rigorous testing just has not been affordable, not been available. But I really feel good about this. I really feel like this is a blessing and a direction. I'm so glad that Rob was the person who I engaged with this match, because I'll admit I wasn't going down this path. I wasn't looking for a highly rigorous drug tested match or anything. It just so happened to fall into my lap with Rob. It's been a big part of his passion for a long time. He's changing the sport for the good, for the future of children, for the future of big sponsors.
Yeah, apparently the guy is a like really dedicated natty. He's a very hardcore to the, wants it to be natural. He wants everything to be done by the book and not have any kind of performance enhancing assistance being deployed. And, they're obviously pretty passionate about implementing it to make sure it happens. And that's obviously a commendable thing, I guess, even though I'm sure a lot of people in the comment section are probably like, we don't even want this shit. We want you guys sauced. So I don't know. I guess it's an individual thing.
Big sponsors, let's be honest. Big sponsors, talking Nike, talking Under Armour, talking big sponsors, they don't want to get involved in scandal.
Dude, like, I'm pretty sure if you're not being tested well, then the likelihood of a scandal is a lot lower than if you have very, very stringent testing and then you have people trying to get around it. The likelihood of a scandal is much higher, I would think. And to be honest, like, those companies, they sponsor people who use hormones, who use shit. It's just like they don't go out on a limb and like talk about it openly, but it's like behind closed doors. I think it's fairly well understood that professional athletes are doing things to enhance their performance.
They want to get involved in highly reliable products. And arm wrestling cannot provide that in its current state of play. But this match...
Yeah, maybe he has a point there. I don't know. But for me, I would think it's more comes down to just like overall like popularity or something, because like aren't some of these big companies sponsoring like gamers now, like people who play fucking Fortnite for a living and shit? Not that there's anything wrong with that. I'm just saying, like, this guy's comparing arm wrestling to like mainstream sports from what I assume, but then there are leagues like Esports that have no testing whatsoever, and massive companies who are sponsoring them and buying, teams and shit. Like, do you think there's not drug use in esports? Like, the fact that it's totally unregulated and it's literally a purely cognitively driven task that requires you to have maximum fucking acuity, maximum mental sharpness, motor unit recruitment, where your performance is literally going to be dictated by how much better and sharper and on the ball you are than the next guy, purely from a mental aspect, essentially, because it involves like no actual, you're not physically exerting athleticism in some way. Rather, it is literally your mind and how well it can focus, react, adapt, etc. Like, there is 100% enhancement practices being deployed in esports. It's totally unregulated. So this guy's point, I feel like, is, kind of ridiculous.
Will be exactly that.
Like, I think it just comes down to popularity of the sport, basically.
We will go through a drug testing protocol that is 100% undeniably impossible to beat. And because of that, it will change the way it is perceived. And it's exciting. It truly is exciting to know that this match could be the catalyst to something very, very real in the future.
So does he think that other sports have unbeatable drug testing, or like where's the reference point to say like this is why it's unbeatable? Like give me a reference point of what is unbeatable, because even at the highest level we're seeing people who have gotten away with 100 fucking past tests and they'll randomly pop for once. Do you think that's the only time they've used shit? Do you think TJ Dillashaw, this is the only time he's used EPO, this one fucking time he popped? Do you realistically think the duration of his career and every fucking test he's passed with USADA, he wasn't also doing shit? Like, think more logically, dude.
The money behind this match will pay for that. Pound for Pound Arm Wrestling is the first major third-party sponsor behind it. Will cover the cost of that. And like I said, in future videos, you'll hear more about how we are going to substantially increase the budget of this match. And like I said, I believe it'll end up being the most significant money match in the history of the sport to date. But more excitingly is the precedent this will set. Now, I'll admit, and I'm not going to get into specific details here, but I'll admit, I've consumed things in the past, taken things in the past that have been on the WADA list that wouldn't be allowed. But that doesn't matter. What's done there is done, and it's insignificant.
Dude, what the fuck is this guy's logic? Like, have you not seen all the data that implies the lifelong advantage you get from performance-enhancing drugs? He's like, we want drug testing, we want bulletproof shit, but I've used stuff in the past, but it doesn't matter. Like, how many inaccurate statements can you make in one video?
To this message. Going forward, and Rob is very much aware of all the circumstances, 100% transparency between Rob and I, and the match is accepted and we're good. But this process from here forward will be bulletproof. Absolutely bulletproof on the drug testing. And it's exciting to know that this process has the opportunity to change the way arm wrestling is perceived. And it's not just about perception, but it's about viability. And this is where my passion for the business side of things, in combination with this drug testing direction, I believe we can make it. Anyone who doubts whether we can make money on this, and when I say we, I'm talking about the sport, not Ryan Bowen. I'm saying, can arm wrestling make money doing what we're doing?
So one thing I'm going to say is obviously, it's not like this is useless, by the way. Like the way I'm kind of like coming at this guy, it's making it seem like, oh, there's no fucking point in doing this. Like there's definitely, it's going to deter a lot of people. It's not like everyone understands how the shit works. It's not like everyone has access to fucking the resources in order to be able to circumvent this stuff. Nor do I think he does. Nor do I think the guy he is facing probably does either. Like it's not, a ton of individuals who are super, well connected or have the resources to kind of, make it happen, I guess. But it doesn't mean you can't. But the one thing I should say is it will deter people. It's going to make it so it's not like, so, no holds barred, juice your face off. It's gonna be a lot more conservative use, put it that way. Like regardless of if there's a way to get around it or not, like there's gonna be people like really fucking pulling back their use, really limiting their choice of compound selection, really being severely limited in what they can get away with. And some people were going to end up having potentially nothing that they can use if they are actually deploying it in as bulletproof of a way as he's describing. The problem is he's not describing how bulletproof he is. He just keeps saying fucking bulletproof. Like, I don't know if it's as comprehensive as USADA. I don't know how frequent it is. I don't know how fucking random it is. Like, even if it's random, like, I need to know, like, how comprehensive is it? How bulletproof is it? Because I have my own definition of what's essentially bulletproof, and I have yet to see any of these organizations, like, really go the full way, because it's too expensive. It's not something that is justified within the budget, unfortunately. If you can get away with thinking that you're comprehensive enough, you're going to save the money, Like you're not going to do all this extra shit if 99.9% of the public perceives your testing as comprehensive enough, or you just may not have the resources even if you want to. Like I'm sure a lot of these organizations want to have the most comprehensive testing, but it's just not feasible in order to stay profitable. It's still a sport that needs to make money and shit. So, yeah.
Let me say absolutely yes. And this match is going to demonstrate that. This is going to be a huge money match, and it's going to be infallible with its drug testing. Guys, I'll document it. When the random drug test turns up at my door, I'll get the video camera out, and I'll show you, invite you in, and show you what's going on.
Dude, showing me your piss and your blood being drawn doesn't prove shit. There's a reason when Lex Little went to his natural powerlifting meet and he recorded himself getting piss tested, I sent them to a lab to get subsequent blood testing, and I chose the biomarkers myself. So this is something that, like, just because you show me you piss in a cup and you get your blood drawn, it doesn't mean fucking anything. Like, I need to know what you're getting tested for here.
And it might happen 4, 5, 6 times before the match, and I'll show you what's going on. And Rob will do the same. And you will see exactly how in-depth and unbeatable this process is. And this is not a witch hunt. This is not anything. This is us, both Rob and myself, trying to establish something that can change the sport for the better. And to me, that's exciting. I have a son. Rob's got children as well who are interested in this sport. And for us to be pioneers in building something that allows our children to grow in interest in the sport and know that they have a viable option to be paid substantially well as an athlete within a clean and tested environment is just simply awesome. And it's something that I am super excited to be part of and super proud to be doing and leading this with Rob. So, Rob, I take my hat off to you for pushing this cause, and I'm honoured to be going down this path with you. It's going to be the first of its kind, and the match will change the way arm wrestling is viewed, and it's going to be for the better. So, yeah, that's the update on that. More specific detail will come, guys. Like I said,
Tell me it's bulletproof again, bro.
There are many great minds already behind this match. And as details are confirmed, and as things come together, more detail will be released to you guys. Guys, follow this journey closely. It's going to change the sport. Follow Rob's journey closely. It's going to change the sport. And there's big news to come. Anyway, guys, take care.
All right, so if we go to, let's see some of the comments actually. There is no unbeatable doping test, Ryan. Tell me how you're going to do this in a tournament with 500 participants. How much money do you need for that? Wait, what the fuck? This isn't just between him and the other guy? Okay, because that definitely changes my answer. Unbeatable testing does not exist. However, I doubt either of you have the funding or the time to learn how to beat a half-decent test, so I have no doubt both of you will show up clean. Levon is sweating out. HGH watching this. That's fucking funny. Devin Saplenko. Fuck. There's only so much drug testing can prevent. You can use a hell of a lot of drugs for years. Build thick tendons, dense bone, huge muscle, and when you stop, sure, your hormones will be all over the place for a while, but after a cleaning period, you might not be at your 100%, but you'll be at 80 or 90%, which would have taken you so much longer otherwise and might even be above your natural ceiling. I might be wrong on the details, but the principle of that is true. You can check out the relationship between test and satellite cells and the role they have in muscle memory. Despite all that, I still think testing is a great thing to do. The human body isn't made to handle the amount of hormones some of these guys pump into themselves. It's not good for their health. That was a good comment. Yeah, pretty accurate statement in my opinion. All right, so anyways, when we look into the organization itself, we had Mega Rodon as well as Devin tell me about VADA. So, I go to their site. About VADA, just to give you guys a quick little intro, the Voluntary Anti-Doping Association is an organization that will offer and promote effective anti-doping practices and programs in boxing and mixed martial arts. Boxing and MMA are state regulated. Currently, few athletic commissions provide drug testing for performance-enhancing substances. When conducted, testing is not comprehensive, readily unannounced, and not a deterrent. Sports regulators do not have the manpower, time, and funds to thoroughly carry out the task. VADA will be an opportunity for athletes to demonstrate their commitment to clean sport. Professional athletes will volunteer to be subject to unannounced testing anytime during the 8 weeks prior to a scheduled fight. So presumably 8 weeks prior to this arm wrestling match. So as in the Olympic program, an agreement to participate will require fighters to officially inform us of their daily whereabouts so that they can be tested per the program. Athletes will agree that all results are immediately released to the appropriate adjudicating commission overseeing their upcoming contest. VADA has arranged for a World Anti-Doping Agency approved laboratory to conduct these tests and an internationally recognized anti-doping group to collect the specimens and maintain the chain of custody. Perhaps VADA's most significant role will be to educate both amateur and professional boxers and MMA, mixed martial arts, artists, commissions, trainers, and public on the hazards of PED use. We will advise athletes regarding safe and PED-free supplements that can be utilized during training through our website, educational materials, podcasts, YouTube videos, and periodic chats with nutritional and conditioning experts. VADA will maintain a hotline for athletes, blah, 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 confidential professional counseling, blah, blah, blah. Okay, so this is like Like, this is good, dude. Like, don't get me wrong. Like, this is going to deter a lot of people pending they use. Let's go at it like they're doing it as comprehensively as they could be. So what would that cost? This guy mentioned a $10,000 budget. Somebody in the comment section mentioned how there'd be 500 people. So my initial analysis was going to be based on the price for just him and the other guy. Because that's what I thought was going on. I thought it was just him and the other guy. So I'm going to come at it from that angle. So let's say we have $10,000 to test Ryan and the guy he's facing. And you have 8 weeks to be randomly tested, and then you're getting tested on competition day probably as well. So what does it cost in order to do bulletproof testing? What is bulletproof anyway? So traditionally we would have the entire, anabolics panel. We would have, all the synthetic stimulants, all the kind of GnRH agonists. We would have anything that could be detected during a urine analysis via GCMS would be picked up in the standard A sample analysis. So this would be when you submit your, get your urine collected, you have an A sample, you have a B sample. Now we're looking at the price of that. We're looking at $330 approximately for the A sample analysis. Now, obviously the B sample, that is used for confirmation should you have a positive on the A sample, also involves storage. It's not something that is, used right away like the A sample. So it's a bit more expensive. So we're looking at almost $1,000 off the bat just for the urine analysis itself for one snapshot in time for the full gambit of shit on the WADA panel. Now let's look at isotope ratio mass spectrometry. So we're talking about carbon isotope ratio testing. If we had hypothetically a, T to epi-T ratio that was beyond the limits of what would normally be seen as physiologically normal, you would then have to be subjected to subsequent carbon isotope ratio testing to see if the testosterone in your body is indeed endogenously produced through steroidogenesis cascades or if it is found from an exogenous plant source, because that actually, believe it or not, is where testosterone comes from. They literally will get tests from fucking yams and soy, believe it or not, which is like the total opposite of where you would think testosterone would come from. But anyways, that is carbon isotope ratio testing to determine, is the testosterone in your body naturally produced or is it from somewhere else? Now, again, is there a way to get around this? You wouldn't even be tested with this if you did not pop on the T to epi-T ratio to begin with. Keep that in mind. And then above and beyond that, once you get to this test, if you even get there to begin with, this is the final step in confirmation analysis, and we're determining, did this come from a plant-derived source? However, if your testosterone is not derived from a plant source, is there a way for it to actually detect that it is indeed not coming from your endogenous testosterone production? Probably not. So anyways, now we move on to hematology analysis. So this would be something you would use to pick up aberrations in basic biomarkers for red blood cell count, hemoglobin, hematocrit, etc. Now, obviously the ideal scenario would be a biological passport that follows this over a period of time and develops like a more individual specific reference range that has a lot more narrow requirements for kind of like popping off like a red flag. So for them, they're not going to have that. They're just going to have presumably a standard hematology analysis. And again, what's that going to cost? It's actually pretty cheap. You've probably got your blood work done at LabCorp and shit. Getting a basic hematology panel is not expensive. However, subsequent EPO testing is quite expensive. $424 for an EPO test. And this would not be something you just generally get every single time. This would be something you would be subjected to based on aberrations in your hematology panel via ideally a biological passport, which I doubt they're going to have. But if they did, then that would be, when it would make sense to deploy that. And again, can you circumvent that? The more broad your reference range is based on the lack of sufficient historical data on your hematology panel, yeah, you can probably get away with a lot more. So now as far as the actual, there's more shit you can do too, obviously. Like, what's a blood transfusion? How would you detect if somebody did that? A possible homologous transfusion for artificial hemoglobin, inflating your hematology profile via blood transfusion. How much would it cost to detect that after, your basic analysis? You're looking at like another $350 on top of that. So like, before we've even got to HGH testing, we're at like, what the fuck are we at here? We're at like 330 plus 574 plus 400 plus 424 plus 21 plus 342, $2,091 for one guy. So this is $2,091 without even factoring in high quality HGH testing, which to be honest is like, how high quality is it anyways when your detection frame is like 1 day at generously using a HGH isoform differential immunoassay? What is the likelihood that you're going to get like we're looking at like $2,500 at least, dude, for one guy, for one snapshot in time that is going to catch you being bulletproof for like a 24-hour span. Like that's what we're looking at here. So you're going to do this for 2 guys. We're looking at least $5,000 for one bulletproof comprehensive, scope of both dudes. If we were going to do the full gambit of shit. And again, even if you did the full gambit of shit, is there not ways to get around HGH isoform differential immunoassay? Is there not ways to get around carbon isotope ratio testing? Is there not ways to get around recombinant EPO detection? Is there not ways to get around bioidentical hormone deployment? It's hard, dude. It's very hard to be bulletproof. And I understand the resources are just not there to support the kind of shit that needs to be done, unfortunately. And that's just how it is. But you're looking at like $5,000 probably for both dudes if you wanted like what would be considered a fairly comprehensive bulletproof test for both guys. And again, that would still only be valid for like a 24-hour window if you're lucky, like at most. So if you were gonna like detect every single fucking thing, that could be bioidentical and be useful for performance enhancement. So for me, I just don't, I think he's a little bit over exaggerating how great it is and how bulletproof it is. Like I wish he'd stop using that word because it's just simply not true. But it is better than nothing, And it's a lot better. Okay, again, I'm trying to just poke holes in everything here, but it's a lot better than the shitty tests that they have like natural bodybuilding shows, the shitty tests they have, even with some like professional sports. It's a lot less than you think. They'll have like one random fucking, like HGH test like all year, And like you might even know when it is. Like like some of this shit is kind of dumb. And it's like high level sports too, with budgets far exceeding this. So, this is an excellent start if this was like the direction you wanted to go. Assuming this was all covered, like to be honest, I highly doubt the things I just elaborated on are all going to be included, but that would be what would make sense if you were going to do a bulletproof thing. I highly doubt it's all there, but that's what it would cost roughly from what I've seen if it were to all be deployed at once per participant. And that would be multiplied by however times it occurs. So is that going to be done in a $10,000 budget? Like, no, it's not. So anyways, I'd be interested to see exactly what it is. And like, obviously, again, some of the stuff, like the follow-up confirmation testing, it's done based on like red flags rather than like we can obviously detect something. It's based on a hunch, based on a aberration or a imbalance ratio or a deficiency or an excess of some sort of thing. And it's not bulletproof, Some of the more expensive tests I elaborated on, maybe they're not going to be getting them every single time because it's not, considered warranted because the red flags aren't there from the other shit I mentioned. But again, they don't have a biological passport historically built up. They don't have a narrow reference range that is going to give them very little leeway with fucking around with bioidenticals. So the likelihood that they're going to get bulletproof accurate testing is just not there. So anyways, that is my stance on Ryan Blue Bowen's unbeatable drug testing protocol that he has failed to elaborate on exactly what it is whatsoever, but has successfully mentioned how it's bulletproof about 15 times in the video. So anyways, let me know what you guys think in the comments down below. Like, subscribe, check out my blog, moreplates.com, follow me on Instagram, and moreplates_more_dates, Facebook, Snapchat, BitChute, Twitter, TikTok, Apple Podcasts. If you want to support the channel, you can check out anything I'm associated with in the video description below. My TRT clinic, it's all telemedicine from the comfort of your own home, Gorilla Mind, nootropic formulas, Gorilla Mode, pre-workout formulas that design myself from scratch, and anything else I'm associated with, including my recommended lab tests, diagnostics, blood work, etc. to check your hormones, biomarkers, etc. Make sure you're healthy. Make sure you have no imbalances or deficiencies. Check it out. It's all there. So thank you guys for watching. Talk to you soon.